The Reformation of the Ecclesiarchy. Let the word of the Emperor be heard once more wherever men gather and look upwards into the stars. Let them know that the Emperor looks back upon them from the golden throne wherever in this benighted galaxy they might reside. From Cardinal Blue. In the wake of Vanda's downfall, Sebastian Thor was declared the 292nd Ecclesiarch, and the Imperium began the long process of rebuilding. Perhaps the most sweeping of changes Thor instigated affected the military forces over which the Monasterium held sway. What remained of the Fratres Templars was disbanded under the terms of the so-called Decree Passive, which forbade the Adeptus Monasterium from controlling any men under arms. Never again would the Ecclesiarchy threaten the continued rule of the Administratum. The brides, on the other hand, after resuming their original title of Daughters of the Emperor, were at a loss as to what their purpose should be after this event. And so, the Ecclesiarchy took the opportunity to recruit and indoctrinate them into the ranks of the Monasterium's military forces. Due to their all-female membership, the Daughters did not technically break the ban, and thus the Ecclesiarchy was able to circumvent the Decree Passive's strictures, even if the spirit of Thor's decree was rather blatantly disregarded. This newly formed military force was renamed the Orders Militant of the ADEPTA SORORITAS. The sisterhood became true defenders of the faith and a very physical reminder of the power of the Ecclesiarchy. Trained to the highest levels possible for normal humans and possessed of a phenomenal faith in the God Emperor of mankind, the sisters would go on to engage in wars of faith, bringing the light of the Emperor to parts of the galaxy that had fallen into darkness. During the first years of the sisterhood's existence, Alicia Dominica, who founded the Orders Militant at Thor's behest, led wars of faith against the alien invaders that had exploited the Imperium's weakness during the Reign of Blood. Sylvana, Mina, Lucia, Catherine, and Arabella, those sisters who had joined her before the Golden Throne, accompanied Dominica. Under their combined leadership, the Sororitas were filled with a righteousness of purpose that the Imperium had not witnessed since the legendary days of the Great Crusade. Countless enemies fell as the armies of the Sororitas brought the divine judgment of the Ecclesiarchy to the farthest corners of the galaxy, and to this day, the Sisters of Battle have stood as faithful and loyal defenders of the Ecclesiarchy and the Imperium. The Convocation of Nephilim. During Thor's Reformation, another organization came into being at the end of the Age of Apostasy, the Ordo Hereticus, formed initially by the Inquisition to ensure that such a calamity as the Age of Apostasy could never again befall the Imperium. Its remit soon expanded to cover not just doctrinal heresy against the Imperial Creed, but genetic and psychic divergence from baseline humanity among the Imperial population as well. Soon after the formation of the Orders Militant, The Masters of the Ordo Hereticus and the highest-ranked Sisters of the ADEPTA Sororitas signed the Convocation of Nephilim, a document that bound the sisterhood to the Ordo Hereticus as its chamber militant. The exact details of this agreement have never been revealed, but some believe it to be linked to the knowledge imparted to Alicia, Dominica, and her companions before the Golden Throne. That such knowledge could be so dire as to bind the two organizations so formally is testament to the weight of the task with which the ADEPTA Sororitas and the Ordo Hereticus are burdened. Others believe that the convocation was intended to curb the power of the Ecclesiarchy, exploiting the fact that the Sororitas are a loyal and zealous force that could be used to enforce the agendas of the newly formed Ordo. Thus, the Inquisition's willingness to turn a blind eye to the Ecclesiarchy's violation of the spirit of the decree passive. Whatever the truth, those who seek it without the blessing of the highest-ranking members of either organization will find only a slow and painful death in the deepest excruciation chambers of the Ordo Hereticus, or a fiery yet equally painful end at the hands of the Orders Militant of the ADEPTA Sororitas. And now, a list of all the wars of faith the Sisters of Battle were involved in. Starting off with the Reign of Blood, from the late 35th till the early 36th millennium. Gorge Van Dyer engineers the ascension of the degenerate Ecclesiarch Paulus III, then becomes 361st High Lord of the Administratum. Shortly after, he topples Paulus and assumes the mantle of both High Lord of the Administratum and Ecclesiarch. Van Dyer's reign of blood begins. Almost 14 billion are slaughtered by the Divine Army during the Purge of Lastrati. The daughters of the Emperor from San Leore are co-opted into becoming his personal bodyguard, and are renamed the Brides of the Emperor. The Reign of Blood culminates in the siege of the Ecclesiarchal Palace, at the height of which High Lord Van Dyer is executed by Alicia Dominica, the leader of the Brides of the Emperor. Then the Thorian Reformation, in early M36. Sebastian Thor assumes the position of Ecclesiarch. The 4,000 or so surviving brides of the Emperor become the daughters of the Emperor once more. They are divided between the two newly established convents, the Convent Prioris on Terra and the Convent Sanctorum on Ophelia 7. Those sisters still residing at San Leore are transported to the new convents, and the foundations of the non-militant orders are laid. In 288 M36, the decree passive prohibits the Ecclesiarchy maintaining standing armies of men under arms. The daughters of the Emperor are officially constituted as the ADEPTA Sororitas. The ranks of the ADEPTA Sororitas swell to over 10,000 battle sisters, leading Sebastian Thor to establish the system of orders. The Martyrdom of Alicia. In circa 650 M36, Alicia Dominica falls at the Battle of Fried's World, surviving hundreds of blows but falling to a single traitor's las gun blast to her heart. She is declared a saint soon after. Ecclesiarch Equidus XI formalizes the position of abbess of the ADEPTA Sororitas and appoints Sister Palmiro of the Order of the Holy Word to the position. The aptly named Wars of Faith in early M38. During a century in which the power of the Monasterium reaches a peak not seen since the Reformation of Saint Sebastian, 1,000 wars of faith are launched across the length and breadth of the Imperium, and billions of heretics are put to the pyre. The founding of the Order of the Bloody Rose and the Order of the Sacred Rose in mid-M38. An additional 2 orders militant are formed by Order of Diakis VI. The Order of the Bloody Rose is founded at the Convent Sanctorum in honor of Saint Mina. The Order of the Sacred Rose, founded in memory of Saint Arabella, the last of the 6 sisters to enter the throne room, is formed at the Convent Prioris. The San Leore Massacre of 799 M41. A Red Corsair strike force invades San Leore, the original homeworld of the Daughters of the Emperor. The Chaos Space Marines are unprepared for the fury of the SORORITAS reprisal, as they come under assault from 9 separate orders militant and are utterly annihilated by the combined counterattack. The Battle of Fire and Blood in 833 M41. During the Vincula's Crusade, Black Templar Space Marine Chapter joined forces with the Order of the Bloody Rose to purge the heretical warrior cults of the Pelargon Cluster. The War for Piety in 835 M31. The Shrine World of Piety rematerializes after being swallowed by a warp storm 2 centuries earlier. The planet is, however, almost unrecognizable, having transformed into a hideous demon world. Canoness Saraya of the Order of the Sacred Rose immediately leads a force of battle sisters to the planet to retrieve artifacts from the Reliquary of Hope, one of the few sites on the whole world to have withstood the corrupting touch of chaos. As the rest of her forces establish a formidable perimeter around the Reliquary, Saraya leads several Celestian and Dominion squads into the labyrinthine corridors beneath it. For 3 days, Canoness Saraya and her sisters battle through monster-infested passageways. Bolters cut down schools of blood-hungry demon hounds, and flamers burn swaths of nurglings and bloated plague beasts. Only Saraya and 2 Celestians survive to rejoin the battle sisters on the surface. Having recovered the left thigh bone of Saint Dolan and 3 pages of the ominous lexicon of falsehoods from a stasis vault, the surviving battle sisters withdraw to orbit with their prizes just as a fleet of Grey Knights vessels arrives and lays waste to the planet with cyclonic torpedoes. The Defence of Dimmamar in 858 M41. Dimmamar, birth world of Sebastian Thor, comes under attack from the Eldar of Craft World, Ulthe, without any warning or apparent reason. Seraphim Superior Imelda of the Order of the Bloody Rose immediately retaliates, leading her squad of Seraphim in a daring attack to slay the enemy commander, Farseer Kaurith. The Seraphim blast a bloody path through a score of black-clad Eldar before the sisters are engulfed in a hurricane of psychic lighting. Though many of her companions fall, Imelda refuses to yield and defiantly advances through the eldritch storm, slaying the Eldar Farseer with a single bolt round to the head. The Bloodtide Martyrs in 876 M41. Chaos comes to the Basilica of Saint Marielle on the world of Van Horn in the shape of the bloodthirster known as the Lord of the Bloodtide. The first to oppose the demon's legions are the Battle Sisters of the Order of the Ebon Chalice. But soon after battle is joined, all contact is lost with the ADEPTA SORORITAS. The demons are eventually vanquished with the arrival of the Fourth Brotherhood of Grey Knights. Upon their victory, contact with the Imperium is re-established, and it is discovered that every battle sister on the planet has been killed. The slain are officially elevated into the ranks of honored martyrs in the eyes of the sisterhood. The Slaughter of Sanctuary 101 in 897 M41. On a world in the Vidar sector located in the eastern fringe of the galaxy, the Order of our Martyred Lady had founded a fortress convent designed Sanctuary 101. The isolated convent had the misfortune of being the Imperium's first recorded contact with the Necrons, where the Battle Sisters were massacred by Necron raiders. Video logs recorded a furious battle between the Valiant Sisterhood and the Necron warriors, but little of worth was displayed, as there appears to have been an artificial disruption introduced into the recordings. Subsequent investigations into the site of battle revealed nothing more than the mutilated corpses of the ADEPTA SORORITAS, eviscerated in a hideously surgical manner. No signs of the true nature of Sanctuary 101's undying attackers were ever found. The Battle of the Penitent in 938 M41. The orders of the Valorous Heart and Ebon Chalice suffer great losses against War Boss Black Axe's orcs and are pushed back to the walls of the Cathedral of Saint Dufour. The attackers are held back only due to the unyielding determination and sacrifice of hundreds of Sisters Repentia. However, their martyrdom buys time for the Battle Sisters to open the vast cathedral gates. The Greenskins are slaughtered shortly thereafter as 24 Penitent engines rampage across the battlefield, staining it with orc blood. The Promethium War in 980 M41. The Order of the Ebon Chalice reinforces Space Marines of the Salamanders chapter who are engaged in a brutal urban war against the dread Black Legion on the world of Hellatine. The enemy is put to the torch as dozens of Immolators and Land Raider Redeemers burn a path through several war-torn cities. Despite the strength of their combined forces, the Imperium's advance is halted when Lord Gralastix, the Demon Prince leading the forces of Chaos, unleashes a legion of possessed Chaos Space Marines. As the frenzied Chaos Horde rips through the Imperium's ranks, Battle Sisters and Space Marines fight back to back, their bolters and flamers defiantly blazing away as every warrior endeavors to sell their life dearly. However, the Allied forces are saved when Saint Celestine appears, falling upon the Chaos Horde like an avenging angel. The living saint carves a bloody path through the baying horde towards Lord Gralastix, before plunging her fiery blade through his tainted heart. With the death of Gralastix, the Chaos Horde is banished into the warp, but of Celestine there is no sign, for she has vanished as mysteriously as she appeared. The Martyrdom of Praxedes in 991 M41. Canoness Praxedes of the Order of Our Martyred Lady reinforces the Imperial Guard on the cardinal world of Ocasses soon after the start of the Second Tyrannic War. As the Tyranids of High Fleet Kraken assault the Ecclesiarchal Cathedral, the combined fire of Retributor squads and Exorcist tanks obliterates the first wave. But the second manages to breach the cathedral's fortress walls. As Tyranids pour through, Praxedes confronts a monstrous hive tyrant. During the fighting, the Canoness is dealt a mortal wound, but even as her blood pours onto the floor, Praxedes summons the strength to land one final blow, caving in the hive tyrant's skull with a thunderous strike from her power mace. With the tyrant's destruction, the Tyranid swarm loses all direction. The Battle Sisters waste no time in pressing the assault, determined to avenge the death of their beloved leader. Such is the fury of their counterattack that the remaining aliens are swept aside, buying the time needed to evacuate the Ecclesiarchy's priests from Ocasses. And the last of the Wars of Faith. The Third War for Armageddon in 998 M41. The Orders of the Argent Shroud and Our Martyred Lady stand amongst the Imperium's defenders as Gazkul Thraka invades the world of Armageddon once more. In the initial Orc assault, the Battle Sisters' positions were attacked by large Orc submersibles which emerged from the boiling sea. Caught unawares by the audaciousness and sheer ferocity of the Greenskins' attack, many of the Battle Sisters were slain. The Sisters were the front line of defense for Hive Tempostora, but their battle lines soon were overrun. This enabled the vile Greenskins to take control of the Hive city's Underhive within only a few hours. With each successive wave of Orc attacks, the Sisters were continuously pushed back until finally they found themselves with their backs to the great armored doors of their Sanctorum. It was there that the Battle Sisters made their final, heroic, but futile stand against the encroaching Orc hordes. This day became one of the darkest within the Order's history as their battle lines crumbled and they were scattered. Those few Sisters that survived the final assault attempted to form their lines again, but were cut down by the massive green tide of Orcs. After an hour of savage fighting, no humans were left alive as the vile Orcs took Hive Tempostora and the Sanctorum. After this defeat, the Order could barely field 3 whole companies. The loss of their Sanctorum and the many valiant Sisters who had fallen was acutely felt throughout the rest of the Order. Many novices began questioning their faith in the Emperor. Those battle sisters that remained recovered quickly, swearing mighty oaths of vengeance against the foul greenskins and vowing to retake Hive Tempestora, no matter the cost. But before they could do so, the surviving Sisters of the Order were spread across the rest of the planet to help solidify key Imperial positions. Their presence proved pivotal in preventing the Orcs from overrunning several areas of Armageddon.